the class for the well-informed Buddhists has not yet finished. I think there is one more topic to understand in order to become a well-informed Buddhist. Now, what things do you need to know in order to become a well-informed Buddhist?
The 5 aggregates.
5 aggregates, right? And then
12 sense bases.
12 sense bases, and then 18 elements, 4 noble truths, dependent origination, and last 37 members of enlightenment. So tonight I will explain to you the 37 members of enlightenment. So what is the last topic? 37, read the Pali. 37 Bodhi-pakkhiya Dhamma. Yeah. Now, once you understand the Pali word, I think it's better to use Pali words when you talk among yourselves. And I think the sound of Pali is very pleasing to me. On Thursday, a man called me and asked me whether there was a meditation class at the monastery, and I said no, because I didn't know who he was. But in the course of talking, he said he had been practicing for, say, 4 years, and he came from New York. And then he mentioned the Pali words nimitta and sukha vipassana. So when I heard these words, I know that he was a serious meditator. And so I told him to come to the monastery, because we had sitting from 7 to 8, and so I asked him to come about 6:30. And he came at 6:15, and so we had a talk and then sitting for 1 hour. So I was pleased with him because he used Pali words when we talked. So if you want to please me, use Pali words when you talk to me. So now please say the Pali word. What is the Pali word for today's topic?
Bodhi-pakkhiya Dhamma.
Right. Bodhi-pakkhiya Dhamma. Now, you don't have to make much effort to remember this word, because you already know the first word, Bodhi, right? So you only have to memorize 3 syllables, pakkhiya, only 3 sounds, right? So it's not difficult. So this word is made up of Bodhi, actually Bodhi, Pakkha and Iya. Now, Pakkhiya, the second part. Pakkhiya is made up of Pakkha and Iya. Now, Pakkha means side, as in this side or that side. And Iya means belonging to. So Bodhi-pakkhiya means those belonging to the side of body. Now, what is body? It's not a tree. Enlightenment, right? Body means understanding or wisdom, and it really means enlightenment. So Bodhi-pakkhiya means those that belong to the side of enlightenment. So that means those that arise simultaneously with enlightenment, and also that those help enlightenment to arise. So both those that help enlightenment to arise and those that arise together with enlightenment. And the word Bodhi-pakkhiya is here translated as members of enlightenment, or they are factors of enlightenment. But we have another word, Bodhanga, which is translated as factors of enlightenment. So I use the word members here. So there are 37 Dhammas that are the members of enlightenment, and members means those that help enlightenment as well as those that arise with enlightenment. And there are 37 of them, and they are given here in how many groups? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 groups. So what is the first group? Satipatthana. Are you familiar with this word?
Yes.
Very familiar. Not only familiar with the word, but with the meaning of the word, with the practice. Now, so what is the meaning of Satipatthana? Foundations of mindfulness. Really means, Satipatthana means firmly established mindfulness. So foundation means that which is firmly established. So the firm mindfulness or firmly established mindfulness. So that is Satipatthana. And how many Satipatthanas are there? You see the number 4, right? So there are 4 Satipatthanas. We will come to them later. And then the next group, what? Sammapadhana. Here Samma is the same as the word Samma in Sammaditthi. Sammaditthi, Samma Sankappa and so on. So Samma means correct or good or something like that. Padhana means effort. So Sammapadhana means right effort, correct effort, or here it is translated as supreme effort. So there are how many supreme efforts? 4. Then the next group, Adhipada. Adhi means accomplishment or in the chart success. And Pada means base or means. Pada really means foot. So the foot is the base of a man, right? So Adhipada means of accomplishment or basis of accomplishment or basis of success. How many are there? 4. And then the next group, Indriya. And this word is translated as faculties. Indriya. How many faculties are there? 5. And then next group is Bala. Bala means power or strength. So 5 powers, 5 kinds of strength. Indriya, Bala. And then the next group, Bodhanga. Factors of enlightenment. Bodhanga is made up of Bodhi and Anga. DH is changed to JH because there is a vowel after it. So Bodhanga comes from Bodhi Anga. Anga means a part or a factor, and Bodhi means enlightenment. So Bodhanga means factors of enlightenment. How many Bodhangas are there? 7. And then the last one is what? Magganga. Magga and Anga. Anga is factor and Magga means path. So Magganga means factors of path. How many Maggangas are there? 8. So when you add them all up, you get 37. So there are said to be 37 members of enlightenment, 37 Dhammas that are conducive to enlightenment and that also arrive together with enlightenment. So the first group, Satipatthana, foundations of mindfulness. So you said there are 4 foundations of mindfulness. What are these 4?
Body.
Contemplation of the body, contemplation of feelings, contemplation of consciousness, contemplation of Dhamma objects. So these are called 4 foundations of mindfulness. Contemplation really means mindfulness. So mindfulness of the body, mindfulness of feelings, mindfulness of consciousness, and mindfulness of Dhamma objects or other objects. So these are 4 called 4 foundations of mindfulness. Now, you remember that mindfulness is one cetasika among the 52 cetasikas. So one mindfulness, one Cetasika, which is mindfulness, is here described as four kinds of mindfulness. So why are there four? Now, generally we say that the four foundations of mindfulness, or the practice of four foundations of mindfulness, is to get rid of mental defilements. But specifically, each one of these contemplations has a specific function. That is why there are four such contemplations. Now, according to the teachings of the Buddha, people have wrong perceptions about things. People take things to be beautiful. Even those who practice vipassana meditation think that some things are beautiful. Don't you think a rose is beautiful? A picture is beautiful? Or you or other persons are beautiful? So this is called a wrong perception. People always have this wrong perception. And so long as there is this wrong perception, so long as we think that something is beautiful, someone is beautiful, we will always have attachment or craving for that object or for that person. And attachment or craving is one of the mental defilements which causes suffering. So in order to get rid of suffering, we need to get rid of attachment or craving. But so long as we have this wrong perception or wrong notion that things are beautiful, beings are beautiful, we will not be able to get rid of attachment. So in order to get rid of attachment to things, Buddha taught us the contemplation on the body. I hope you remember the discourse on the four foundations of mindfulness. So in the section on the contemplation of the body, what do you find? Contemplation of the breathing, and then let's say mindfulness of breathing and mindfulness of postures, mindfulness of small postures, and that section is called it's section on clear comprehension. And then mindfulness of what? 32 parts of the body, right? Mindfulness of ugliness. Imagine seeing corpses and then applying the nature of corpses to one's own body, right? So among them, the contemplation of, say, the 32 parts of the body and contemplation of the corpses help us to see that things are not beautiful, things are ugly. So when we practice contemplation of the body meditation, we will be able to get rid of attachment, say, to ourselves or to outside things. So in order for us to get rid of attachment to persons and things, Buddha taught us the contemplation on the body. The other wrong perception about things is that there is happiness. People think that although life is filled with some kind of suffering, there is still some kind of happiness, some kind of enjoyment in life. And so long as we see life as something enjoyable, something which can give us happiness, we will be attached to our lives. And Buddha wants us to get rid of attachment in whatever form. And so in order to convince us that life is not what we think, that is, life is not full of happiness, but it is full of suffering, Buddha taught us the second contemplation, the contemplation of feelings. So when you practice meditation, sometimes you may have pain. So when there is pain, what do you feel? How do you feel? Is there happiness or suffering? That is suffering, real suffering, right? Sometimes the pain becomes more acute, and then you want to get rid of it, but it is still there, and so you are something like in hell, say, suffering the unpleasant feeling in your body. So when you are experiencing unpleasant feeling of pain, then you really see that there is real suffering, say, in the world. And even when you are experiencing pleasant feeling, there is still suffering, because this pleasant feeling will not last forever. It will disappear after some time, and so you are afraid that you will lose it. You are afraid that it will disappear, and so you are attached to it. But by its nature, it has to disappear, and when it disappears, then you are sorry and you are attached to it. You long for that good feeling, and when you don't get it, then you are sorry, and so you are miserable. You feel miserable. And so whether you are experiencing painful feeling or pleasant feeling, there is always suffering. And this you will come to realize when you practice contemplation on feelings, when you make notes of feelings, or when you make yourself mindful of these feelings when they arise and disappear. We are taught that things are impermanent, but sometimes we feel that although we accept in general the impermanence of things, we venture to think that there must be something which lasts for some time. Say our bodies. Our bodies seem to be the same as they were yesterday, as they are today, or maybe our bodies don't change for some time, say for a month or two. Only after a year or two we say, you have changed, or something like that. And so this notion of permanence is ingrained in our thinking. Even though we are taught that things are impermanent, we still want to think that some things are permanent. It could be permanent, for some time at least. So that is why Buddha once said, it may be permissible to take the body as permanent, because it seems to last for some time. But it is not, say, permissible, or it is not appropriate to take one's mind or consciousness as permanent, because consciousness changes very, very quickly. Now, in order to see the impermanence of things, then we have to practice mindfulness of consciousness, mindfulness of our thoughts. Now, when you practice meditation and you have thoughts, and you watch your thoughts, at one moment, your mind is, say, at the tip of the nose, and then the next moment, your mind may be far away, going back to your home country, and then come back again. And so, if you really pay close attention, you see that even in one in-breath or in one out-breath, you can have many thoughts. You can think of many things in very rapid succession. And each thought comes and goes, and so there is nothing which you can take, no thought which you can take as permanent. So when you practice the mindfulness of consciousness, then you will come to see the impermanence of consciousness, impermanence of things that are mental. And so when you see the impermanence of consciousness, you can infer from that our bodies, physical bodies, also are impermanent, although we cannot, it is the impermanence of our physical bodies is not so evident as the impermanence of our thoughts. Now, we are taught that there is no permanent entity, and there is no such thing as a soul or an ego. But we still want to believe in some kind of a permanent entity. We still use the words as soul or self or ego in our talks. And so it is very difficult to get rid of this perception of an everlasting entity, which is actually different from ourselves or our bodies, but which resides in our bodies or which may be somewhere else. And in order to get rid of this notion or this wrong perception of a permanent self, Buddha taught us the last of the four foundations of mindfulness, contemplation on Dhamma objects. When we contemplate on Dhamma objects, when we contemplate on the aggregates or the bases or the factors of enlightenment and so on, then we come to see that these dhammas, these things, arise and disappear. And there are only these things arising and disappearing. And there is nothing over and above these mere phenomena going on and on and on. So when you practice meditation, you may try to find whether there is a permanent entity, whether you can see a permanent entity. Now when you practice meditation, there is the mind that is mindful of something and the thing which is the object of that mindfulness, and just these two things going on at each moment, at every moment. And we cannot find anything apart from the mind which is mindful and the thing which is the object of mindfulness. So when we pay attention to the Dhamma objects, to the aggregates and so on, we will come to see that they are just the mere phenomena going on and on and on, and there is nothing over and above these phenomena which last forever. So although mindfulness is one, it is divided into four according to the four functions corresponding to the four wrong perceptions. So that is why there are four foundations of mindfulness. Now, what is the function of the contemplation of the body? What is the function of it? To get rid of the wrong perception of beauty. And what is the function of the second, contemplation on feeling? To get rid of the wrong perception of happiness. And the third, contemplation of consciousness. What is its function? To get rid of the wrong perception of permanency. And the fourth, contemplation of Dhamma objects. To get rid of the wrong perception of atta, perception of permanent entity or soul or an ego. So in order to attack these four wrong perceptions in the world, Buddha taught the mindfulness in four different ways. Mindfulness of the body, of feelings, of consciousness, and of Dhamma objects. What contemplation do you practice when you practice meditation? The first or the second or third or fourth?
Fourth.
All four, right? Yes. So when you are mindful of the breath or the abdomen, what contemplation?
Body.
Contemplation of body. And when you are mindful of pain, especially, whenever we talk about feeling, our mind goes to pain. Actually, pleasant feeling also is the object of meditation. So that is contemplation on feeling. Then when you are aware of your thoughts, you are doing the contemplation on mindfulness. And then when you are aware of, say, your anger or your attachment, then you are contemplating on the Dhamma object, right? Anger or attachment is anger or attachment is one of the 5 mental hindrances, right? So when you practice meditation at our meditation sittings or retreats, you are doing all 4 contemplations or all 4 foundations of mindfulness, but not. I think that's enough for the 4 foundations of mindfulness. If you want to know more about these 4 foundations of mindfulness, you have to read the Sutta. Now the second group, Sammappadhana, supreme efforts. And there are 4 supreme efforts. Do you know the 4 supreme efforts? Yes, you do. What are those 4? Now, these supreme efforts are to be made with regard to akusala and kusala. And there are 2 kinds of akusala and 2 kinds of kusala. Now, there are akusala which have not arisen in our minds before, that means in this life. And there are akusala which have arisen in our mind. So there are 2 kinds of akusala. And kusala also the same. Those that have never arisen in our minds and that have arisen in our minds. So 2 kinds of akusala and 2 kinds of kusala. So there are 4 things. So with regard to 4 things, we have to make 4 kinds of effort. That is why there are 4 supreme efforts. Actually, effort is just one. It is also one of the cetasikas, right? So effort means in Pali virya. So virya is one of the 52 cetasikas. But here also its function is 4-fold. That's why there are said to be 4 supreme efforts. Now with regard to akusala, that have arisen before, and so they are now past. That is one aspect of akusala that has arisen. And another is that has arisen and still with us, present in our minds. So there are 2 kinds of akusala which are said to be arisen. One that has arisen and already gone in the past, and they are now and it is now in the past. And the other is just arisen and present in our mind. So there are 2 kinds of such akusala. So with regard to first akusala, which is past, what must we do?
Don't let it happen
Don't
again.
let it happen again. Yeah. So with regard to that kind of akusala, Buddha said, forget about it. Because this is akusala, and let's say you have done this akusala, and it can bring painful results to you. But if you are thinking of this akusala again and again, if you feel remorseful for having done this akusala again and again, you increase your akusala. You acquire fresh akusala. And so you cannot abandon or get rid of akusala in that way. So the best thing to do with regard to such akusala is don't think about it, and then make effort to avoid doing it in the future. That is with regard to akusala, which is in the past. Then what about akusala that has arisen and still in our minds, in our thoughts? What must we do? Now, Buddha... Stop it, right. Buddha said, he does not retain any thought of sensual lust, ill will or grief, or any other evil and unwholesome states that may have arisen. He abandons them, dispels them, destroys them, causes them to disappear. Actually, when such thoughts arises in our mind, we must stop it and substitute this with kusala. Then what about the akusala that has not arisen in our minds? What effort must we make with regard to that kind of akusala?
Nothing.
Don't let it arise, right? Avoid it, right? So with regard to akusala that have not yet arisen, let it not arise. So try to avoid or try to prevent it from arising. Then what must you do to avoid akusala from arising?
Don't create.
You must apply mindfulness. Right? Now Buddha said, when he perceives a form with the eye, a sound with the ear, an odor with the nose, a taste with the tongue, an impression with the body, or an object with the mind, he neither adheres to the whole nor to its parts, and he strives to ward off that through which evil and unwholesome things, greed and sorrow would arise. If he remained with unguarded senses, and he watches over his senses, restrains his senses, that means don't let them arise through any of the senses. So when you see a thing, you don't take the sign of that thing, you don't take the particulars of that object. That means when you see a person, you must just stop at seeing a visible object. If you go to saying, deciding this is a person, this is a man, this is a woman, you are said to take the sign of that object. Then if you go further and say, his hands are beautiful, his face is beautiful, his nose is beautiful, and so on, then you are said to take the particulars. So if you take the sign or if you take the particulars, then attachment or ill will can arise. If you take someone as a person or as a man or as a woman, then you will either be attached to that person or you will be repulsed by it and by that person or object. So Buddha said, stop as just seeing when you see something and just hearing when you hear something and so on. So that means practice mindfulness. So with the practice of mindfulness, we can avoid or we can prevent these akusala from arising in our minds. So that is called effort to avoid. So with regard to kusala that have not yet arisen, what must we do? What effort must we make? We must make effort for them to arise, right? And kusala that has not yet arisen means meditation, samatha meditation, vipassana meditation, and also path, magga. Now, if you have never practiced meditation before, and when you practice now, then you are making it happen. You are making the kusala which has not arisen in you before happen. And when you practice again and again, like you do here, then you are making the kusala which has already arisen in you multiply. So with regard to kusala that have not yet arisen, there is one function of effort, and with regard to kusala that have arisen, there is another function. With regard to kusala that has not yet arisen, the function is to make it happen. And with regard to the second kind of kusala, to make it happen again and again, to make it grow, to make it increase. So there are two functions to be done with regard to two kinds of kusala. The first effort with regard to kusala, which has not yet arisen, is called effort to develop that means effort to make it happen. And the other effort with regard to kusala that has already arisen is effort to maintain. That means effort to make it increase. So when you practice meditation, you are doing these two functions of effort. The effort to develop or effort to make happen, and effort to increase. So these two aspects of effort or virya you are doing when you practice meditation. Now, how much effort must we make? Just a little? So sometimes when teachers say, oh, you must make much effort, then they reply that, oh, it is self. And I mean, what do you call that? Mortification of self or something like that. But now, Buddha's advice with regard to making effort is, now, the disciple who is possessed of faith and has penetrated the teaching of the Master, he is filled with the thought, may rather skin, sinews and bones wither away. May the flesh and blood of my body dry up. But I shall not give up any efforts so long as I have not attained whatever is attainable by manly perseverance, manly energy, and manly endeavor. So this kind of effort is called full-limbed effort or virya. May skin, sinews and bones remain, and may flesh and blood dry up. So skin, sinews and bones wither away, and the flesh and blood remain. Dry up. This is called the full-limbed effort. So we have to make real strong effort, say, to practice meditation and to achieve, say, what we intend to achieve. So Buddha said in another sutta that enlightenment cannot be achieved through just a little effort. So the effort we make must be very strong effort, although it must not be too much, or it must not be imbalanced with what? Concentration, right? Right. So these are the four supreme efforts. So we must make effort to abandon the akusala which has already arisen, and we must make effort to prevent the akusala which has not arisen, and we must make effort to develop kusala which has not yet arisen, and we must make effort to increase what has already arisen, to increase the kusala that has already arisen. So these are the four supreme efforts, and in reality these four supreme efforts are just the cetasika, which is virya or effort. So one cetasika with four aspects, and so we get four kinds of efforts, supreme efforts. Now the third group, means of accomplishment or four bases of success. Now Adhipada, the Pali word is Adhipada. Adhi means accomplishment or achievement or success. Adhi here really means jhana, magga, path, and fruition. Jhana, magga, phala. So they are the accomplishments, or actually the result of the meditation. And pada means basis or means. And so means of accomplishment means those that help jhana, path, and fruition to arise. And there are said to be how many? Four of them. What do you think you need to accomplish something? First, the desire. Desire is here. Desire means just will to do. The will to do something, not attachment, but the will to do something, and it can be either kusala or akusala. But here it is kusala. So the will to do something. In Pali it is called chanda, and it is here translated as zeal. Now we need to have strong will, say, to achieve something, to accomplish something, to practice meditation. If you have not a strong will, then you cannot practice meditation successfully. So will to do or zeal is one of the bases of accomplishment or the basis of success. Even though you have strong will to do, if you do not make any effort, you will not accomplish anything. So that the second base of success or accomplishment is effort, or strong effort. So here will means strong will, effort means strong effort. And also you need a strong mind, strong consciousness or strong mind. If you do not have strong mind, you do not have strong effort, and you do not have strong zeal, then you cannot accomplish anything. So the third base of accomplishment or success is strong consciousness, strong mind. And the fourth base of success, even though you have strong zeal, strong effort, strong consciousness, if you don't understand what you are doing, if you don't understand the business you are doing, you cannot accomplish anything, you cannot have success. So understanding is the fourth base of success or accomplishment. In this chart it is translated as investigation, because the Pali word vimansa is usually translated as investigation. But the word vimansa, although it literally it means investigation, it really means not just investigation, but investigation and understanding it correctly. So it's better to translate it as understanding than just investigation. So investigation can mean just you investigate. You may get the right thing or you may get the wrong thing. But here, vimansa means understanding correctly. So there are four bases of success or four means of accomplishment, and these four are what? Will to do or strong. All four must be strong. Will to do, effort, consciousness, and understanding or investigation. Okay, now up till now, how many members do we have? 12 members. Four kinds of mindfulness, 4 kinds of effort, and 4 means of accomplishment or basis of success. Okay. These are those that arise during the stage of vipassana meditation, especially vipassana meditation, and also those that arise together with accomplishment or together with enlightenment. So when they arise with vipassana meditation, especially vipassana meditation, they are mundane. But when they arise with enlightenment, they are supramundane. So these factors, these members are both mundane and supramundane. And the supramundane is actually a kind of a result of the mundane members, because in order to reach enlightenment, say we practice vipassana meditation. So during the practice of vipassana meditation, and these members arise in our mind, and so they belong to mundane sphere. And then when enlightenment arises, and they arise with enlightenment consciousness, and at that moment they are called supramundane. So these are both mundane and supramundane, and those that belong to supramundane are those that we can make happen, that we can develop. I think we'll stop here tonight. So we'll continue our study tomorrow.
Open for questions.
Yes.